first, if you curse within its first 10 seconds.
Oh yeah, I know. I got you. Yeah. We're gonna keep it ad friendly.
What flags have you gotten on YouTube?
My account's been deleted 3 or 4 times. The entire channel.
Same channel. You got the same channel back?
Yeah, the entire channel's been deleted 3 or 4 times. At a certain point, it was almost like a joke, a bad joke. I mean, I think what was it? 2018, 2019, 2020. At the same time, in July, they deleted my channel. There's some sort of automated audit that they do to review content that would always flag everything that I would, or a certain section of what I was doing or had done, and then they would determine, oh, you have over 50 videos that.
Some type of copyright?
It's not copyright strikes.
Because I noticed you'll use like movie clips or like different like known things.
Yeah. Like
cartoon stuff.
That's its own separate issue. So times that my channel got deleted, it wasn't for, you got the rule, I think even now still, is like, you get 3 copyright strikes. Chances. You get 1, and then like you get like a slight restriction, and you get 2, and then like you basically can't even upload, and then you get the 3rd, and they delete your channel, no questions, no appeal, no nothing. And so I never got 3 at one time. I got 2, and was on the border of, but when it got deleted, it was for what they call deceptive practices and scams.
What are you selling crack on YouTube? What are you doing up there? What were you doing? Like, it's also like it's weird because it's like vague a lot of times. You don't really know exactly what they mean.
It's very vague, but I knew I started working with them music distribution, so then I started knowing the people that actually handle YouTube content, like on the back end, and then they can go and help me out, and they would say, oh well, I see that it's this, what they call like reposted content. So like certain times they were against sort of the idea of which is weird, but the idea of channels that would like aggregate like memes or aggregate certain types of things to show them off in like a compilation, which is what everyone does now, to be honest. Like the things that are bubbling now are just basically like compilations of TikToks and shit. Like there's a lane for that.
I mean, even if you look at back in the day on TV, it's America's funniest home videos, ridiculousness. Exactly. It's just other people's content.
Exactly right. You're totally right. It's not a new idea, but when people would do this on YouTube, they wouldn't want those creators to be, I don't know, I guess, to trend. So those videos would go nuts, 7 million views. The creator would stay at like 100 subscribers, can't monetize it. And then they just fade away, and then someone re-uploads it. So YouTube really didn't give a fuck about those type of creators, so they would, penalize them. And then I was, at that point, bigger than them, and I was doing something what I would call slightly different than that, but even still, the automated detection, they would say, oh, well, you're reposted content.
What's different about what you were doing, you think?
The difference was, what a lot of people were doing just compilations of existing things. What I was doing was basically a visual DJ mix, right, of ideas and concepts, and I would storyboard these things. So if I'm chopping up a movie, I want to tell a story visually from that movie that might be a subset of the movie, like an idea from that story or a completely new story, and match that with what I feel the song would be. So in my mind, I'm thinking if I were scoring this film with this like weird electronic shit, what would it be like? Or this Phonk track, what would it be like? And then construct it from there. So to me it was an art form. I don't think people maybe even understand it now or understood what I was doing on like the YouTube side. They're like, yo, you cut this piece of this movie and put it here and blah blah blah. I'm like, well, I did it in such a way that like the copyright detection doesn't give a fuck. Warner Brothers is not coming after me, right? So what's the problem? Oh, well, it kind of matches whatever detection we're using for reposted content, which is technically scam or deceptive practices.
And you've been on YouTube long enough to where I feel like you've seen the rules change. Like probably when you started I don't even think monetization existed.
I forget, actually. This was like 2011 I started. That was the first video I put out. And it was monetization for what? The type of thing I was doing, I thought there'd be no chance for that, right? At best, it was like bloggers were like, oh man, like Casey Neistat and guys like that. They're like, oh man, this is what a YouTuber is. That whole concept. What I was doing, there was no name for. Like now, it started to become like what they call music promotion, right? Obviously, like, oh, there's like Majestic Casual and Suicide Sheep and Soul Action and all these other things. You're like, oh, well, this is actually a thing. And then over time, it garnered respect because millions or hundreds of thousands of people started building communities around, oh, this guy puts out this type of music, now this is the genre. And then now, flash forward, that's basically how genres are named, based on the communities that are built around them, usually centering around, like, I don't want to say gatekeepers, tastemakers sounds pretentious, but like people that were like putting out this stuff and promoting it and pushing the aesthetic of what it looks like what does like chill house look like, and all this shit's very important. Classically, you get that from the clubs or whatever. Internet generation, you get it from the visual aspect of the internet. The front page of that is YouTube, you know. And I guess you could say social media, Instagram, not so much Twitter as a visual platform. You could say like Instagram, TikTok, calling it a visual platform. I don't know. That's like calling a casino an art gallery, but, you know, similar, you know, similar.
What do you think it is that draws like fans to these like niche subcultures? Like talking about underground stuff, lo-fi, funk, which I actually really didn't even get hip to funk till I seen on your channel with like the PH.
Yeah.
What do you think it is about these subcultures that people gravitate to? And it kind of, is it like the anti thing because it's not mainstream? It's something else? It's like people want to be on some other shit? Or it's like, what do you think it is?
I mean, it definitely depends. What I say it's almost. I think some people think it's that, but I think that's them kind of fooling themselves. Like the things they like about the subcultures is that they reference something familiar, nostalgic in many cases, but not necessarily always. Is taking something familiar that they know and not even completely subverting it, but changing it in such a way that it has a different feeling to it. And then the experience of taking something that someone doesn't fuck with and then turning it into something they like is very transformative, like mentally. So if someone's like, oh man, like this music is trash, man. I don't listen to everybody loves it, but I don't like Sexy Red, man. This shit is
outplayed. I've heard it 1,000 times.
Outplayed. It's trash.
Let's not disrespect Sexy though. Sexy.
Yeah.
I really do fuck with Sexy Red though.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a separate thing. It's a separate thing. But say like somebody doesn't fuck with it, but then it gets remixed in such a way they're like, oh damn, this shit is okay. Whose vocal is this? I'm like, that's Sexy Red on the vocal. There was a different perspective on it. Now this song has a different feel to it, you know, so don't think so strictly about what you like and why you like it and expand. And I think that idea is what draws people to the subcultures of I can be flexible, I can enjoy it, there's no pressure of how it should be enjoyed because no one knows what this is and blah, blah, blah.
To me, the underground culture reminds me of just like being in high school and kind of like finding out about shit before your friends.
Exactly.
So it's like now with with social media and how things are set up right now, we all kind of get hip to music around the same time. Like something will go viral, it'll become mainstream, and we all kind of we find out about it together for the most part. But it was this thing like back in the day of you just discovering new artists that like your friends didn't know about and putting them on. That was like the best feeling. Like when you put your friend on with somebody, you'll never let them forget that.
Yeah, I mean, and I think for me, that's what it represents. For everyone else, I think that was a question before. I think it's that. But for me, that's what it represents. Because I was that guy. Like, hey, you know, I mean, I'm selling mix. I'm in my late 30s. So I was selling mix CDs at high school, you know what I mean? And making mixtapes from recording shit on the radio on cassette tape and then giving it to people and be like, yo, I just heard this the other night. And that's what we do. Talk about, damn, you just heard this. And my family lives in the South, so I would travel down there with them to South Florida and come back with all these underground tapes like Pastor Troy, 3 6 Mafia Underground Volume 1s and 2s, early Cash Money, like before 400 Degrees and before The Block Is Hot. There was, Hot Boys Get It How You Live, the album, and they were all like young as shit, and you have all these people.
This boy Wayne was like 11 or some shit.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
9 when he came out.
Yeah, they had all these like skits and stuff, and the sound was so different than what was in the mainstream. So I was used to like the idea of coming and showing somebody something, and then seeing their face light up. Well, first you see their face scrunch up, like, nah, what is this? And then after a while, they warm up to it, and it's a transformation, you know. And to your point, I think a lot of underground culture is for the people, for the creators, that's what the communities get off on. Oh man, I'll build this community. I'm gonna show you this. I'm gonna show you this. Oh, you didn't know you could do this, did you? Damn, show me how to do this. What drum kit do you got? Like, who was this sample from? What is this? How did you make this? And that creative energy is more genuine than how do we make money off of this as the initial thing. And so that separates the underground from the mainstream. The initial question, the mainstream, is how do we make money off of this? Which I'm not saying that's a bad way to think about things, but I'm saying that in the underground is, I'm excited about this. I saw this person do this, or I have this idea, and it'd be really great if I could make this thing. So that's what the underground represents to me in terms of the creators within it.
So you're touching a little bit on coming up, like, or starting your YouTube channel, like 11, 12. Do you want to tell us a little bit about just coming up? Where were you born and raised? How you even get into doing like creative stuff?
Yeah, I mean, so I was born in Belgium. And
Belgium?
Yeah, in Belgium, in Mons, Belgium. And his military family. And so then we moved over to the East Coast to the DMV area after a while. And, I went to high school and middle school and stuff here, so I connect deeply with the DMV area. And at that time, this is the early 90s, so DMV sound is a lot of go-go, a lot of the hip-hop in the DMV. Some of it's local, of course, but a lot of it is just piggybacking off the mainstream New York ideas, and that was all of hip-hop. No one really respected the South outside of the South, but we would travel down to visit people, our family members in South Florida, Carolinas, Atlanta, and the radio stations would have this different vibe to it. I mean, we're hearing Chopped and Screwed, we're hearing all these different things, and that had a massive influence on me. Because then when I would go home for the majority of the year, I would have 3 6 Mafia playing. I'd have Slob. I'm in the 5th grade with Slob on my knob on the cassette tape. On the bus.
I think we're probably. I think I was in high school when that came out. Yeah.
People were like, "Yo, what the fuck is this?" And I'm like singing all the words and the whole thing, and it's great. It's great.
How were you discovering music at that time?
It was just that, like, I would get it from my sister, or I would get it from people from down south, and then I loved movies, so I would always listen to like movie scores all the time. And I was a classical pianist as well, so I started playing piano like around early like 7 or 8. And I began to really enjoy that. And so I play a lot of like Prokofiev, like Beethoven, Debussy, people like that. Those are my favorite composers at that time. And so it's like you take that and you combine that with 3 6 Mafia, or you combine that with, all these other sounds. And I started to have an affinity for like this vibey sound where it was like basic, standard, like maybe dark hip hop, or just hip hop in general, but it had sort of a different, almost storytelling, thematic element to it. And because I'm watching credits all the time and TV all the time, a lot of times I would listen to music and watch shit on mute. So I watched like the Weather Channel on mute, or the TV. I don't know if you remember the TV Guide channel. Yeah, like the Weather Channel. Late, because I stay up late at night, and they shit was at that time like shit just wouldn't be on. It'd just be like the Weather Channel and like scrambled like pornos on
Scrambled pornos? What is that?
So like back so I'm dating myself. So back in the day, how it worked was you remember pay-per-view channels?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we saw pay-per-view like boxing matches and stuff like that.
So back then, like, it wasn't digital, it was analog in terms of how it was restricted. So like your TV would get all of the channels, but if you didn't have a certain box, it would come in scrambled up. So if you wanted to see I was a huge wrestling fan. So if you wanted to see like WrestleMania, you can go and try to look at it, and it would be all scrambled up. And you're like, oh, I think this is happening. You kind of hear it.
So to watch it, they actually have to send you a physical device?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. And so you have the device, and, we would never get the device. Well, they could also just send the signal. But the point is, like, that signal was a result of, like, a very specific device called it's like an FCC thing. Yeah. But we would bootleg it by getting a cable descrambler. You could buy a thing.
A descrambler.
That would descramble that analog signal.
So you're just descrambling pornos in the crib?
Yes, basically. Well, exactly. And, but it was a whole aesthetic just seeing it scrambled, and so a lot of this style and things I incorporated included this idea of like this analog distortion, both audio and visual.
So that's like the whole VHS kind of effect. So that's where that came from?
That's where that came from. That's actually the same hardware I'm using, right? Yeah. The cable to scramblers and things, right, they still exist. I mean, all the rules are still the same.
I think I've seen a video of you, or maybe Full Metal was using, I think it was you, where you had like a physical device and you were turning knobs and that was the glitches and shit.
And he put me on it because I was using video editing tools, and looking for plugins. I was like, damn, how do they make it look like it's a VHS tape? How do they make it look like it's this? And it just wasn't hitting the same. And then Full Metal did a video, I think it's called Shiny Lapras. And it was like the effects were just like so good. I was like, damn, like what's the plugin? He said, no, I got the glitch box.
The glitch box.
I said, the glitch box. He shows it to me and it's like this Radio Shack thing with all these buttons on top. I'm like, damn, where do you get that? He's like, you can get them on eBay, like search for this. So he put me on to actually doing it for real.
There's no program that syncs with that box. It's all in the.
This is all analog. This is all composite, right? Yeah. So I mean, technically you can do it, but it's all just composite. So now, like, I've taken that, full scale over the years. And so, for example, I did a show here in DC, and to do the visuals, I had a PlayStation 3 and a glitch box.
What was it PlayStation 3 for?
The PlayStation 3, remember you could put USB in there?
Okay.
So you could play files off of the PlayStation 3 at lower quality. But what I could do is I could load files into a PlayStation 3. It outputs to an analog source that I run through this old school glitch controller. Then I could change it back to HDMI and output it over like an 8K projector. So the result is like you get all these old school ass visuals, but in super high def, super bright, and they're all made on the fly. So I can, like, for example, go to the USB on the PlayStation and like go to like a video of like Skeletor saying something, and then skip through to like a scene where something else is happening. He's like moving down a mountain, have it match up with like some Young Dolph lyrics.
It's almost like fucking spinning music, but with visuals.
Exactly. So like I'm chopping and moving the visuals with the music, and the people will notice. The people understand it visually and aesthetically. It's hard for them to explain, but they can. Oh shit, this just matched up with this and this. So that all came from that old school experience of looking at Scramble, trying to look at Scramble port, all this stuff like that.
Funny as shit. We were reading the I think it was the Amuse IO article on you, and it said that at right before you started your YouTube channel, your house got broken into and somebody stole all your laptops.
Yeah, this was in college.
You had to restart, and it also said it said you went through a period of demotivation.
Oh hell yeah!
After that, how was that scenario? How did that lead to you starting your YouTube channel, if it did?
Yeah, definitely. It definitely did. Because I was always still just kind of putting out things and editing things, but the idea of putting it out on a location wasn't really that popular or known even that much. This is like 2006.
So you're not dropping on anything at that point. You're just making stuff for yourself.
There's nothing to drop it on. I mean, SoundCloud doesn't exist.
06, we had, what was
YouTube doesn't exist.
Dat Piff out at that time? Dat Piff, Hot New Hip Hop?
Yeah, the PHE performed. The forums were there. So Dat Piff existed, but that's for, people that were even in the underground more established. That's like, okay, just finding Ninth Wonder. I'm looking at Dat Piff to get that new thing. That's like, what was it, the Jay-Z Black Album flips? It was like the Black Album, the Gray Album, the White Album, and all the producers and beat makers really came out. So, maybe you get stuff like that, but I'm not going to contribute anything. I'm just fucking around is how I'm thinking about it. And so I just made tons and tons of music. A lot of it was like chop and screw, slow down, 3/6, flipped with TV shows and weird samples like that. Like what they call mashups. At the time, the only name for it was mashups.
And did you have like a friend group at the time you were doing it with? Or are you passing this stuff out to your friends, just keeping it for yourself? Like, what are you doing with it at that time?
I'm forcing my friends to suffer through the things that I'm creating at that time, And
there was nobody else creating with you. It was like a solo thing.
There was a guy that was much more legit. His name was Kevin Alexander. He was actually operating in the studio. I went to the University of Maryland. He was operating in the radio station, and he was like recording artists and setting up shows. So like one of the shows was it's one of the first stops on a college dropout tour for Kanye back then. And it was like, oh, Kanye is here, Backpack Kanye and John Legend doing their thing.
Backpack Kanye.
Yeah. So he was bringing people in like that. And I was just, oh man, he's really doing a thing. I'm just fucking around with the early cracked Fruity Loops, Reason, and shit like that on my computer. But at that time, it was like, oh, if you're not in a studio, you're not a real producer, damn near. That was the idea. The bedroom laptop producer was like, it wasn't like a dirty word, but it was like, oh, you're not serious. I mean,
that was probably really still the idea until like Chief Keef maybe.
Absolutely. Even
like to the music videos, just doing it solo, like not too high production, just like real, like raw shit.
Yeah, that DIY wasn't really encouraged that much. And so around that time I started making a lot, and then the house I was living in got cat burgled. Like straight cat burgled.
What do you mean by cat burgled?
We were in the house. You know, it was like me and I had 4 roommates. And we're on the top floor of the house watching this movie National Treasure because
seen that shit like 10 times.
They had filmed it, part of it on the University of Maryland at the time.
Really?
And so everyone, the day of the filming, everybody was, you could like go and like be an extra. So when the movie came out, everybody, I was not. But some of my friends, they had like, you know, half a second of, that's me, you know, in the extras. It's like there's a scene where he's racing through like not a promenade, but literally like the middle of University of Maryland, what they call a mall. And there's like all these people running around crazy. And it was like, okay, that's where people were trying to see their ex. So anyway, we're watching that shit. And I live downstairs in the basement. I go downstairs to use the bathroom. And I know it's a little colder for some reason. I can't figure it out. I leave the bathroom. I look, and the window is cracked open just a little bit. And the window is behind like a whole bookshelf, like a proper bookshelf. So if someone were to crawl through it, they had to crawl. They open the window and crawl through like a bookshelf of like
a regular size, like a shelf like this.
Yeah, like a shelf. No, not square, but a rectangular shelf. Yeah. And so like it doesn't even occur to me that could have happened. It doesn't even occur to me. I'm just like, why the fuck would I leave the window open? That seems bizarre. I go back upstairs, and it trips me out again. I go back downstairs, and I remember I want to go to my room to get something. I go to my room, and my desk is clean. Like, clean. Like, I had a desktop, all my little external drives, other shit, the power supplies, and the monitor on this, like, white desk. I go in, and all I see is white. I'm so confused. I go back out, I look at the window, and it starts to dawn on me.
I know somebody stole my fucking computer.
They broke.
I guess at that time, maybe computer was like.
That was most expensive down there. And they just ripped everything. There's cords just like ripped. Some were just cut. I was just like.
So that's all they took is just your equipment?
All the equipment downstairs except for the big boy speaker, you know, which I guess I'm not sure how they would take that, but they took my laptop, they took my desktop, my hard drives, all my shit, you know. So at that time I was really motivated because I knew it had to have been someone that had been to my house before. You know what I mean? So I'm like, oh, now it's like, damn, I can't trust people, you know, and they stole the one thing that only had value to me, you know? Like, it wasn't worth that much.
What if all the music you had on there just started releasing? Like, under like a label? That shit just started coming out?
The leak. I mean, I would be excited for that. I would love that.
So you never, like, found out who it was, I guess, or?
We found out who it was and where they were reselling everything at. But
did you get it back?
It got too hectic, and in the interest of my loved ones and the people around me, I did not go and get it back.
Gracefully,
so I'll say it like that, you know. So I said I just take the loss, but it was really demotivating. So
how long were you in that demotivating period, and what was how's it from there? Like, how'd you decide what were you gonna do next?
That was like 2008 to 2011, and I stayed in the same spot for a little while, and then after school and stuff, and I started working, then, you know, I decided I was just going to travel. So I traveled a lot. My job at the time was like 80% travel.
What'd you do?
I was doing implementation of like networking equipment in hospitals. But before then, I was a bus driver at the university for that whole time. So it was like a transition from doing these bus rides to, okay, you know, proper, you know, engineering, computer science job. And, you know, that was cool. So I was able to distract myself from, okay, I can't really do music right now or whatever. There's a whole new set of challenges and creativity I can learn and do with
in your mind. So, in your mind, when you put it down at that time, were you like, I'm gonna eventually pick it back up, or did it feel like at that time I'm done with this? It
was more so like I didn't want the pressure of it anymore. I just wanted to enjoy it and consume, because I still like just consuming. And I've realized I'm a much better fan that I'm a creator right now. So let me just be a fan right now and absorb. And, you know, when I start getting that itch of like, damn, the itch for me is like when you listen to something or you watch something or you see a piece of art and you're like, I would have changed this. I would have made that line over here. If it was just like this, oh, it would be perfect. That's how I know, like, okay, now it's time to start creating stuff. And that didn't hit me until like 2012 again, where I was like, I'm a huge fan of things. I want to support them. What can I create around these other things that I love? And I'm finding it on Bandcamp. And I'm finding it on SoundCloud. SoundCloud era to me, you know, that was starting to bubble on Bandcamp like in 2011 or so, 2010.
I didn't even know Bandcamp was a thing at that time.
I think it was. It might have been Bandcamp, but it might have been a couple other things. But I was downloading music from these like collectives, and like there's this idea of like this vaporwave sound that was brewing. So artists like Bloodwave and people like that. I was just like, what is this sound and where is it from? And so all those, I think that was when I first experienced like real niche genres. You had like old school hip hop or underground hip hop, which were damn near synonymous at that time. But then it became like, okay, that's a different thing.
In 2011, 12, I think at that time, who's hot? Wiz Khalifa.
Yeah.
Like Rick Ross, Wayne, all them, Nicki, Drake.
Absolutely.
That type of stuff.
Absolutely. And there was like a resurgence from the 2001's Stone Throw, MF Doom era, where people were really starting to respect it. So you're getting like beat tapes again. You're getting shit like that. And it's like, well, we don't need anybody rapping over it. This is a beat tape, and it has a look and a feel. And I was like, damn. And then you had future bass popping off as a genre. You had, you know, dubstep was dying down by that time. It was becoming just like a mainstream noisemaker. But then everything else around that started to evolve. So I said, damn, I'm just gonna make a YouTube channel where I'm posting images and videos associated with these sounds, because the artists, I know apparently they can't make music videos. They're just independent artists. So I'm gonna make their music videos. And so then that's how the idea of it started. I can practice my video editing and get something creative out of my head with no pressure of like, oh, you know, the standard process of making a thing and releasing it. I said I could still kind of get what I want out of it and find new music at the same time.
I went back, kind of looked at like your first videos on the channel. Those early ones, were those original like songs those artists gave for you to drop on there, or what were those, like your mixes of those songs?
It's half and half. Like sometimes I would like just do like a light mix of stuff. Like I would slow things down, or I'd change the tone, or do weird shit with it. But a lot of times, the early days, it was I'm just trying to show respect to the artists. So I would post up their stuff, and they would hit me up like, "Oh damn, like thank you so much, blah blah blah." Like no one's listening to it, and we're trying to find places to put it. And I get, you know, I'm happy that your YouTube channel picked it up, because now that your YouTube channel, which is smaller at the time, picked it up. Oh, these other YouTube channels, that's what they're doing. They're Googling to see, okay, what can we post? These promo channels. So yeah, I got on Majestic Casual, is on yours first, and now I got hundreds of thousands of plays on this thing.
Majestic Casual, is that a genre or a person?
It's a brand from that early YouTube promotion time. Okay. They were one of the first promoters alongside another guy, Mr. Suicide Sheep. A lot of people know, but it was like post dubstep, future bass, vibey EDM, early EDM. Could be drum and bass, could be jungle, could be hip hop fusion sort of thing. Majestic Casual was more like Soulection in its construction, though, in terms of its sound. It would be like vibey, R&B influence, electronic pop.
Bro, just name like every genre.
Yeah, I know, right?
Genres I never even heard of.
Yeah. Like, you know, but that's kind of what that sound was. But it was very smooth. Majestic Casual was very smooth, easy listening, type of shit you listen to at work. The type of shit that people now go more towards, our lo-fi, you know, playlist or whatever, study and chill. But it was like the original incarnation of that, but without mixes, just with singles.
Yeah, I seen actually in that same Amuse article, y'all were talking about lo-fi and how it kind of started on YouTube. It said it was a big boom on YouTube when they started the live capabilities, and that's when I guess I think I wrote it down. It was the cat lady. What is it called? The study girl. The study girl with the anime.
Yeah,
it was like, is that how you got introduced to lo-fi? How'd you get into lo-fi? And what, in your opinion, is there a correlation? I touched on it in an article too. What's the correlation between Cartoon Network and anime being involved with lo-fi?
Yeah, so lo-fi was always kind of just doing instrumental hip hop, but there's no real specific genre label associated with it outside of that. Outside of either calling it instrumental hip hop, which most people weren't saying, or they say, oh, beats. You know, you're making it's beats, and then beats became chill beats. Chill beats slowly became this idea of like maybe chill hop, and then once a lot of us started putting out these very, very cassette tape SP404 type of lo-fi beats, and it became, okay, lo-fi hip hop is a thing, right? So, but this was something that was being uploaded for a long time. You know, I was putting up a lot of what you call now lo-fi hip hop tracks, things like that, and of course, I always forget the one with the raccoon. I think it's Chill Cafe, but it was them, and what now is Lo-Fi Girl, but was Chilled Cow at the time. And they're mainly doing like easy listening jazz bumps, kind of. Maybe like you call it jazz hop now, is what they were doing.
Those live videos where it'd be like that girl, is that all original music? Is somebody just making all that stuff original? Because it'd be like 24-hour streams.
Yeah, it's all this like promotion, right? So it's all music from, you know, hundreds of producers. So on my streams, it's, you know, many different producers interspliced with some beats that I'm making, interspliced with whatever.
Are they hitting you with copyrights on that, or like these channels that are playing these live streams?
Oh yeah, it depends. It depends. Like that's a huge thing. So like usually how it works is, well, back then, so say I would make a mix, it's an hour and a half long mix, and I got maybe 70, 80 producers on this mix, and I'm chopping them all up. It's all underground stuff. So at first you don't get any content ID because these are artists that, for many reasons,
they probably don't even have content ID turned on yet. Like,
yeah, they couldn't distribute their music because their music is riddled with samples that they have no clue how to clear. But then when distribution became more mainstream, yes, as in like artists were able to upload for free or for cheap any music, and it was on the distributor to say, hey, this is a sample, it's getting taken down, or for someone to come and try and sue them or whatever, then everyone was just uploading all these lo-fi tapes that they had. And so then I would get a bunch of content ID and copyright claims years later after the fact. So I post something up and promote their music, and maybe gets 5 million streams or something on like a high at work, gets millions and millions of streams, right? Then maybe a year later, the producer would go and upload it to TuneCore, and then TuneCore would say,
would they try to get back money for everything it made?
They would try many things, but the thing is, like, it's not generating any money necessarily. If it is generating money, well, use the content ID and you'll get all the future money from the thing. Because I would never put ads on the stuff that I would do anyway, so it wasn't like a million streams. I mean, I had a job.
You weren't even actually making.
Yeah, I didn't want YouTube to be my source of income at all, because that would change the nature of how I thought about it. Right, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, so I was like, whatever. So then they would later do the content ID, and depending on which distributor did it, they might do copyright strike or copyright, you know, strong copyright claim versus make you take it down, you put a strike on your channel and put the whole thing in jeopardy, right? And you know, that kind of process is very interesting. So I've been through all that stuff where it's like, you put something out and it's great for a long time, and then it's a bunch of issues. But ultimately, at this point, after I work with the Muse and the distributors and things like that. Now I understand how it's layered. So there's a mutually beneficial situation for most people. I post your music on my channel, we run up 1 million views, and we split the revenue sharing model, and everybody wins because I love your music. I think it should be out there. I know that my audience would like, you know, your music, and they're like, well, you have an audience that you cultivated over all these years. I don't have that yet. So it's mutually beneficial. So business-wise, it can be good business without being some weird exploitative thing, and go by the rules of these various platforms at the same time. You just got to know how to do the right things in the right way.
Yeah. So you put it down for a few. You said you're traveling the world. You pick it back up. You start the channel. How did you you start the channel. What was the traction like in those early times? When did you feel like you started like kind of getting your foot in? And also maybe touch more on that. You said you didn't want your YouTube to be your main source of income because it would change how you thought about it. Like, what do you mean by that?
So for the first 3 years, I mean, I had more videos than I had subscribers, right? Because I'm posting a video at a certain point after the first year. maybe like 6 months in the first year, I decided I was going to post something new every day. That was going to be the goal. Post a video every single day.
6 years?
Yeah, so I said, okay, well, let me just do that, and that's what I did. And I just posted something new. Something new was coming out every day. Period. Right, every single day for those 6 or 7 years. But in the first 3 years, I had 110 subscribers. I remember that was the magic number, 110.
You had 110 for 3 years.
Yeah, so I would lose them, and you'd be like, "Damn, I'm at 106. Damn, I'm at 112. Up, damn, back to one." It was like that. And so I had already given up on the idea of being one of these large YouTube channels or whatever the case. Right, I had already looked at the analytics all this time and was trying all this stuff and done that for years and decided, well, it's more enjoyable to just do it this way. So for years it was like that. Then I started changing up what I was doing. Specifically, I started making these long videos, which was a rare thing at the time for music. Right, you didn't really have a lot of like long mixes, mainly for copyright reasons. Most DJs would just play a bunch of popular music, and of course all that gets flagged, so no one was doing that, right? So it was rare to have like an underground DJ mix of original new music. And once I started doing that, and at the time YouTube was heavily valuing retention time and watch time.
Still are.
They are not. This was when they were first kind of rolling it out.
Side note, we can get back to this. What do you think they're looking at now if it's not retention?
They're looking at a more complex combination of retention percentage, the points in the video that people are being retented, but they're definitely doing a bit more. At that time, it was just pure watch time. So if you have a 1 minute video and it's watched 1 million times, well, that's 1 million minutes. If I have a 10-minute video,
10 million minutes.
Right, and the retention is 60%. That's a way better signal. So you'll grow relatively. You'll get suggested more relative to that scale. So that was kind of like the lane. So I started making these like long mixes, which was a first-person bus drive going through different parts of Japan with chill, lo-fi, nostalgic beats behind it, because that's what I would just watch at work.
And you're making the beats.
No, at this time, now I'm working with guys on Bandcamp. Okay. This guy, for the first set of him, it was JPN, or Japan, as you can call him. And he was prolific. I would make some beats. I'd make like 4 or 5 beats in a week or 2 weeks, and he would come out with an album of 20 beats. And I'd say, oh shit, and the next month he'd come out with another one. And they would all be so good. So I was just like, listen, man. I was like, send me the waves over, man. I got something for you. And I started making these long cuts, these buses driving through different cities and matching them up. And he really loved that. So I did like 15 of those, like 17, 18 hours worth of bus rides through Japan. And they started building.
Wait, you're just, my bad. This might be a silly question. Where did you go to Japan, or are you just finding videos on like the internet and shit?
I'm finding the videos on the internet. I'm hitting up people in Japan. They're like, yo, use this, blah, blah, blah. Like, I have this thing, use this thing. They're sending me these 100 gig zip folders of just
100 gig?
Just bus footage. And I'm watching all of just, hey, they're leaving Tokyo and they're going here and they're hopping on the train, and it's just them for hours and hours, and it's hypnotic. And so I'm bringing these things together, and then, the editing, the coloring, and all that stuff, to make it make sense on the platform. And that caused a huge jump, relatively, right? I went from 100 to now I'm at like 1,200 subscribers. And I done this video for Clams Casino for this track called Gorilla. And it went super viral relative to the time, and so between those two things, I got like 1,200 subscribers. I was like, man, this is great. This is going good. And then I put out this video, High at Work. And High at Work exploded. And that took it from 1,200 to 10,000.
What was that? Also just some type of visual with somebody's beat, or what was that?
It was still visuals from Japan mixed with there was a wave. I'm skipping over a lot, but there's like a bunch of other type of videos I was making. But I was making these videos called Simpson Wave videos. There was this thing. We had a whole subreddit, and we would make like.
You got the Trappin' in Japan ones?
Nah, not yet. This was more where it was Vaporwave was really popular. Simpson Wave was just like really like emotional, nostalgic, like what they call the sad boy music, like before Young Lean, right before Young Lean, right? It was this sort of sad boy music mixed with Simpsons AMVs, basically, like anime music videos, and chopped in like a very vaporwavy type of way. And so I would make a lot of those and like work with that community. And so that's why when I started making Trappin' in Japan, like maybe a year after that, there's a heavy Simpsons influence because I was making that for vaporwave and lo-fi things at the time. And to me, it was all very similar. So like the High Homer and the High Lisa, it was like my take on this idea of these like emotional, poppy, vaporwavy things. I was like, okay, well, how we chop and screw this and slow it down, and Homer's in the car, chilling, and all that. And so it was very simplistic in an idea, I guess, in retrospect. But that's why like the Trappin' in Japan existed. And then after that, it started to grow much larger into like I think 50, 60,000
subs.
Yeah, subs. And
so you at that point you had 1,200 subs. That one goes up. What was that one called again?
I think that was the early High at Work. It's early High at Work, and then that evolved things up a bit to now. Okay, now we're going from 1,200. Now we're racing to 10,000.
How long do you think it took from 1,200 to 10,000?
About 8 or 9 months.
Okay.
It took 3 years to get from 0 to 110. And then another year to get from 110 to 1,200.
And also at that time, it was just way less people on YouTube.
Yeah, but it was buried. It was buried. It was buried. It was less about the amount of people. It was more about what was popular on that platform. Like no one's going to YouTube for music back then, other than the heads, right? Now it's like okay, that's where we go to. I mean, even then, like they had Vivo, but Vivo wasn't even that popular, right?
Bro, that's when Vivo would if you had a Vivo video, you were official.
Yeah, I mean,
I think now you can might be like these days buy one. I think you could just like pay to get on the Vivo.
I'm just putting the logo in the thumbnail. Just throw it in the thumbnail. I see people will do that. Yeah. I see people do that. It's hilarious.
So like, what do you mean by the whole you don't want it to become your main source of income thing?
Yeah, at that time I was like, I wanted to be at my job. I was very serious about that, and I liked the idea of just having like a high functioning hobby. Like, oh yeah, this is what I do when I do this thing, and I could make money from it, or it could be this, but I'm just enjoying the excitement of doing the thing that I want to do and not having to explain it to people. When you talk about making classically and you make money, you need to talk about a business model. You need to talk about the return on investment on your time in doing this thing. You need to consider all those pieces, right? So I didn't really want to consider all those pieces for my hobby. Right, I know for a fact that changes it from I'm producing this to have this to create something that I don't know what it's really going to be. It's going to be something interesting that I like. I don't really know what it's going to be I need to produce this to achieve this specific goal and have this specific effect so that we make this amount of money so that we can continue to build the studio, all that stuff. I had no interest in engaging in all of that because I know what that takes. I've seen it. I've seen that movie before and people doing that and building it and be successful or fail. But either way, I wanted it to be the hobby.
I think for a lot of people, me personally, is you want to make money in it so you can do it more.
Absolutely.
Because now you don't have to work this other job, and you know what I mean.
Absolutely, so I was slow to come to that. Fortunately, because I was fine. I was very satisfied with my career field and what I was doing. It just became a matter of when I saw the influence it can have on the artist if I involve myself more, because this is years into it. Maybe I have 150,000 subscribers, built a little bit. When I put up somebody's video, the energy is different than it used to be. If I just post somebody's song and I've never communicated with them or anything, if I post their song up, they're gonna hit me. They're gonna email me like a long email. Thank you so much. Happy to be on your platform, and we just got 50,000 views, and we've never broke 1,000 before, and so it became more of like, damn, this is very valuable, to these artists, and I can help them achieve their personal goals of making money from their music or getting something for their music and changing their life. So I said, well, let me figure this thing out more. So that's when in 2018, I left my company that I was working for.
You said installing network at hospitals. What kind of networks?
Yeah, it was a patient safety and simulation company called Beeline Medical, where we would develop software to prevent or improve patient outcomes, right? So we would have cameras and an audio within like a exam room and review doctors and medical students diagnosing patients or doing procedures, and then say, hey, this is the wrong way, this is the right way, here's a report, XYZ, here's the video, all of that. So to do all of that, there's the software that we developed, and that software had to be installed at these locations on top of an AV system with all of the mics.
And you're not the one monitoring it, reviewing it. You're just installing the system.
Right.
Somebody else's.
The actual clinicians, or I train them on how to use our system to monitor the doctors, and then they take it from there. The people working in
That's
the
great. So
hospital.
they had cameras and mics in just hospitals. I'm sure the patients were aware of this. It wasn't like...
Yes, a lot of it was in medical schools at first. Now it's in live patient care, as well. But it was like in medical schools, and that's how they would pass their medical.
Does every doctor's fucking office room have a camera in it? If you just go to the hospital?
No, not to my knowledge. Maybe now they've.
I was about to say, are they like sneaking that? I've never heard of that.
No, but that is a thing, in emergency rooms and things, and for certain procedures, definitely, right? And it's good for the patient because that's there's a liability issue. If they fuck up and kill you, well, let's check the cameras, so we can sue the hospital, that type of thing. But I digress.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
But yeah, so I was kind of installing and doing that. And to me, that was creative. I'm learning like, damn. Now I'm learning how to install equipment. Like, we're running wires through the walls. We got a server room. You got some complex network. You got all this cool ass cameras and all this stuff, and making the audio not sound terrible in like a hospital room is hard, right? That's hard floors. That's ventilators. Everything's metal. Everything is bouncing the noise everywhere, And so I'm just like, man, it's a cool creative challenge. So I got a lot of creative. I got development from that, and I would use that to later influence the channel in a lot of ways.
For me, bro, I've thought about that too a little bit. I think ideally for me, I can have a secondary business to fund like my art stuff with it, to like fund off-road with it.
Yeah, most definitely.
Because my whole thing is I want to keep doing it and I want to make money off it, but I don't want to get to the point where I'm making decisions on like what art to create or what to do based off of money. I feel like once you get to that point, you almost like it's damn near like selling your soul. Like that's not what we are doing it for. So I think the key to that is literally just to fund it some elsewhere. It's like fucking. I'm pretty sure it's true. I feel like I've said this before, but I've never actually looked it up. I've heard it somewhere, but like Dollar General or like Dollar Tree or Dollar General, that's how they run their business. They actually lose money every year off the business. So Dollar Tree as a corporation loses money every year because they're selling stuff so cheap. But in their earlier days and the profit they got, and they invest into other things where they make all their money, so they can afford to lose money on Dollar Tree but still corner the market.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it's like just because you have one business, you can still have secondary things like other things. I don't know. I'm still figuring it out too. I think right now for me is I'm just trying to figure out how to do this as long as possible and to like make the biggest impact I can.
Yeah,
right?
There's definitely different ways to think about different philosophies. I don't want to say my way is the right way necessarily. I think I've definitely seen people, like push through. I do believe in the principle of progress over pride. A lot of times, especially as a creator, you get married to your ideas in such a way that it hinders your ability to do it for the rest of your life because you want to draw the line in the sand that, oh, this shit should be red or it should have this 808. Whereas maybe if you would have changed it to blue and had that cowbell, you would have enough money to do whatever you wanted in the next 2 years. But so I've seen people make prideful decisions.
What are some other examples of that?
I can't say a few of them, but there's many prideful artists. I believe you want to talk about in the mainstream. You can think about artists that are incredibly talented, that they kind of, for better for worse, fell off the strength of they didn't want to. I think they dramatized it as selling their soul. So that's why I say when you say sell your soul, it's like, oh, are you selling your soul?
Maybe I over-exaggerated a little bit, but like
you know selling your soul, or just doing something you didn't want to do at the time. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, or, you know, so to me, like, take someone like Azalea Banks, you know, who's super talented, but impossible to work with, apparently. You know? You know, so, or because I mean, she has her pride too strong. She doesn't want, hey, I'm not going to change this for this. All right, you know, then you're going to have less of an impact. You're going to create less of a body of work over a period of time. So I'm saying that I'm someone that earlier on I was very prideful in that way. And now over time, I think the real challenge is determining a creative way to do both at the same time. Like, how do I both break into the mainstream, not quote unquote sell my soul, but still keep my creative vision and do it in a way that works for me? Like, I think that's the most difficult challenge, but it's not impossible. It's just you need to dedicate creatively to it. So you're saying, I want to have off-world like this, and I want something on the side. There might be many ways to do that. Maybe you need an investor. Maybe there's a team. Maybe there's like a separate business that can be created. Maybe, hey, if you put 100 hours into off-world every week, you know, as opposed to what you're putting, maybe for a few years, maybe boom, then you won't have to worry about any of that. So I think about it like that. I think there's many different options. I don't think there's one way to think about it. So I more analyze how I used to think about it, how I think about it now, how I'll think about it in the future. I'm open to that changing as well, because everything else around us is changing. Right?
Is this your main source of income now? Do you have another job? And also, you touched on being in your late 30s. Maybe you touch on too, just like, I feel like coming up, we always like thought you get out of high school, you graduate, and if you don't make it by 2021, like your dreams are done. You know what I'm saying? You're old now. Yeah. But I feel like with technology now, with where we're at in the world right now, you can pretty much create forever. Everybody can have an audience, no matter what age you are, no matter what you do. Yeah. And then you see like I forgot what bro's name was, but Joe Budden was just talking about it on the pod. He read like his message. Huh?
Can I grab that lighter?
Oh yeah, for sure. He was talking about this dude. he said something, but he was like basically talking about how everybody that just won Grammys is like over 40. Like the youngest person was like 38.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, maybe touch on just getting older and finding ways to, you know, continue being creative, or, you know what I'm saying, just stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, getting older is great. It's like your 30s are like your 20s, except you know more, and most of your fuck-ups are in the past probably, you know, functionally. I think generationally there used to be more of a stigma because there was such, to me, I look at it all as tech problems, right? If you like take a look at maybe, say your parents are in their 60s or 70s, right, the difference between them and their parents was more massive because the things that their parents had access to were way different, because the gap between radio and TV being really great or decent enough, that was like 25, 30 years, right? But nowadays, it's like the gap between certain technologies is so small that, I'm 30, I'm not disconnected with what 16-year-olds are doing. Like I can go and look at that right now. Right, so it's not like the youth has some unique advantage in the current state of things across people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, right? We can all see and access the same tools. We can see and access and interact with the same environments, really. And so it really comes down to, okay, well, who has the most knowledge? It's like, well, you know, a 20-year-old person, they can be very talented, very skilled, and very ambitious. That doesn't necessarily mean they'll have the most knowledge, you know, and experience. And the side effect of that is the people that do have that, they might be a little bit older because they've been through a little bit more, and they're able to access those same communities, right? You have like 40-year-old rappers and things like that. And you look at who was listening to this. Oh, it's not just people in their own age bracket. It's everyone. So in terms of getting older, I think that's why it's less of a thing now. It's because of that the technological reasons, to me, is mainly why. For me, I mean, I obviously, so I was born in 85. So I feel like I saw like the whole bridge of, I remember, you know, pre-internet days, dial-up days, DSL days.
I'm old enough to. I had an AIM.
Hey, listen,
I had
the
an AIM in
AIM
middle school.
account, the AOL
Okay.
500 free hour CDs, everything, man, and you see the difference between then and now and the changes, and you can learn a lot and predict a lot. And so now I'm in that stage of my life where I'm like, how do I use all this to create something, really incredible? So, and in terms of that, your other question about primary sources of income and things like that. So I have several businesses, right? I have my own record label. I have a software company, an AI video generation platform called Vibe Video.
Wait. I want to get into that.
We'll get back
Also,
to
is
that.
Amuse your label?
I work with Amuse.
Okay.
I'm an employee with Amuse, so I have a job where I work with them as an A&R. I've been with them since 2018. That's where I left my previous thing to go to.
I seen in that same article said you were like building their lo-fi music division.
Yes, they had a whole thing where it's like, okay, we want to invest in niche communities because these communities are rabid, there's high engagement, and there's low competition. People don't know about this stuff. Like, let's bring it to light. And,
Who's the biggest artist on Amuse right now?
biggest artist on the Muse, there's a guy, Yacht Club, that's going bananas. A lot of Muse's focus is sort of these international artists and artists that are trending, within these spaces. Like Yacht Club's music from any emotional TikTok you've ever heard.
So they got a TikTok artist.
He's not really a TikTok artist, but it's more this idea that these are artists that were popularized first on the internet and then translated over to the mainstream in terms of numbers. Like his tracks went double platinum already, okay. Billions of streams,
Yeah, we got okay. And what is this? Go ahead.
So for Muse, I was doing A&R, signing artists. On their lo-fi division side, it was, signing those artists, working on playlisting, building out playlists, figuring out creative marketing ideas around certain things. And that just kind of progressed year over year to where I would jump in and provide that type of effort for a Muse. And so I've been with them, I guess now it's damn near 5 years, since late 2019 rather. So about 5 years doing that with them. And then of course there's the YouTube stuff. So there's ways to monetize and maximize. So I have members on YouTube and like paid members. So I provide them with custom content. You have the Patreons of the world. And
so you do the Patreon and the YouTube members?
Yeah. Do all that stuff. And then there's the merchandise business where we're selling merch and creating new merch. There's the physical distribution of the vinyls. There's the shows, the tours, all that stuff. And so all those are like kind of a snapshot of all the ventures. And then outside of that, I work with a lot of people out in LA on music releases, doing digital promotion.
So it's all in the arts, though.
What's that?
It's all in the arts. All of these
at
businesses.
this point now, they're all sort of in arts and technology, and I think that's where the most creativity can be made, and ironically, the most money is going to be made. So becoming an expert at all of that is really key to me. I think that would be the most interesting thing to do.
I can see myself. I want to do maybe doing some like A&R type stuff at like a label somewhere. One day that'd be cool. What is this AI software company?
Oh, it's called Vibe Video.
Okay.
So the premise behind Vibe Video, me and a guy, Ben Gillen, we got together and we were making I had a series of tapes called Sad Villainy and Sad Villain. They were plays on MF Doom's Mad Villain that were chops of MF Doom with different beats and things like that. And when MF Doom had passed and I had heard about it, obviously devastated. So I wanted to make a tape called Super Villainy, where it would be separated into three books: The Rise, The Fall, and The Revolution. And so the idea is like the Revolution, The Rise and The Fall would be visual mixtapes of Doom beats with different things and chops to match up. And then The Revolution would be all of the lyrics would be, or the voices would be AI. The voice of Doom would be AI generated, and the videos themselves would be completely AI generated. And so we started working on this project, and during making that, we just thought, maybe we should make this into like a thing. Like, what if we build something that just does this?
So there was no other program at the time that was doing it, or like you were looking for something, or?
Well, the idea primarily of taking at that time, this is last year. There's text to video models that were being created. They were still a little earlier on, but what we wanted to do was take a song and then visualize the song. That's the core of what the idea of the Vibe video. You put in music and then output a music video, a coherent visual understanding of the music, right? So, because in ideally, not even ideally, but eventually, inevitably, what will happen in the future is that you'll be able to execute and create videos without the execution.
They say you'll be able to put in just like a prompt or like a little mini script of a movie, and then like a click of a button, it'll make like a 2-hour long Hollywood style movie, like quality movie, like.
Exactly. So
it'll go back to just the ideas. The creativity is what it's going to be, like the storylines and shit.
I agree 1,000%. And this to me is like Vibe video is one of the stepping stones to that eventual future. And this early stepping stone is, hey, what is the music video for this song? And imagine independent artists having access to that. Hey, here you go. Here's your song.
You put in the song. Is this completed? Is this where you guys at with it right now?
We have an MVP. I mean, it's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty solid. We're in what we call the pre-seed phase. Oh, sorry, minimum viable product. So we have like a version of it you can use, you can publicly access and try shit out with. And then on the back end, we're constantly just updating it to be more efficient, more clean.
Are you guys crowdsourcing, trying to raise funds for or anything?
Yeah, we're in a fundraising portion right now where we're doing events. Just got back from LA Grammy Week last week, where we were connecting with different people within the industry, within the music tech industry, VCs, etc., to show excitement for what we built. And there was excitement for what we built, I feel. And we're definitely looking to get those funds in and really scale it even more this year. Is kind of my plan. So that's definitely a big thing to me.
I guess also on that, do you want to go into any how are you guys training this AI? What's it like? What data are you training it on? Like stuff like that.
I mean, it changes all the time. For what we're doing.
Because I might even sound dumb just even saying that. I don't really know too much about AI, but from what I know is like they're pretty much like they feed it a bunch of data and it's like it's filtered through whatever like.
Yeah, the data set for the visuals is there's common publicly available ones and things that we're using, but we're also training it on things like say we want to partner with a brand, we could train it on that brand's aesthetic. Like say we partner with Apex, we could train it on their designs and things like that to generate something that would be coherent with what they would want. Is
it creating whole new images and whole new things, or is it taking just okay?
Yeah. So the video, I mean, it's brand new things, that are created.
So where can people try this out at?
This is at vibevideo.app right now.
Okay, yeah. That's fire.
.ai. I'm sorry.
Vibe. Are you saying Vibe?
Vibe. VIBE.
Okay.
Vibevideo.ai. You can go and see what it does.
And it's like free. People can go do it free, or is it paid right now? At this stage?
Well, I got to check with the developers.
Okay. Bro, got to check with the developers now. He's not sure.
Let's see what's going on.
Okay, I think I really had like 2 more questions for you.
Sure, man.
I thought it was interesting. I seen on your channel, it was a dude. I think you named him John Moe.
Oh yeah.
You find this video of him at a thrift store, and you kind of it's his life, and you put this video around it, this music around it. So that was from, you said, a project called Overstand.
Overstand.
Do you want to touch on that?
So yes, let's talk about Overstand. I'm working with a young woman named Jess, and we had this idea maybe 2 or 3 years ago, where we wanted to tell the story of music within the city in the face of sort of a lot of the music is getting gentrified and such. Not the music itself, but it's being kind of removed. The culture of DC,
the actual city, is probably getting gentrified.
It's being completely gentrified, and people are in the midst of that. A lot of go-go was never digitally, distributed in things. A lot of those bands, it's even now like the biggest bands, they don't have all their music out there. There's music you can only hear. You go to the spot and get the CD still, right? There's still things like that within the history of go-go that's just gone, right? And once the fresh coat of paint goes over it, it's definitely going to be gone. And once the people that made it have died out or moved on and moved out, it's definitely going to be gone. So we're dedicated to giving people an actual understanding of what the city is, what the eradication of culture looks like and what you could lose. And that was the idea of like Overstand. And so over the period of 2 years, we would work on several projects. And then this one came to me literally, because it's weird, but I go to thrift stores all the time. Like I'm always at the thrift stores because I like to get old school VHS tapes, rare items like that.
Home videos and shit.
Home videos.
What's the weirdest thing you seen on a home video you found at a thrift store?
Nothing's ever too weird. I mean, there's a lot of weddings.
Sees like a murder on a fucking thing, like solves a murder like 20 years later.
No, I got a few funerals. Funerals are very interesting, you know. Reunions. Not too many murders. I mean,
not too many.
Not too many.
It's been so
but this, to me, the John Moe thing was the coolest because it's like.
Was that the first one? The first Overstand video you made?
That's like the second or third.
Okay.
But to me, the best one because like that video was crazy. Like it was like 6 hours and was like the evolution of him just hanging out with his boys, and then just like bullshit.
Had his first son.
Playing PS1. Going to Go-Go's and having his son and him and his girl chilling a year later, and then it was just a whole saga, like low key. But the reason it was the best was because they had a Go-Go event it was a Go-Go indoor pool party swimsuit contest
In the 90s.
The
fuck were they on?
And it was packed out.
Yeah.
It was packed. There's people in the stairwell, you know, bumping off, going nuts. And there's a pool there, and at one point they turn the lights, so I'm just like, man, and the pool's glowing green. I'm just like, man,
Bro, I gotta chop this shit up.
Yeah, I said, geez. Yeah, so I started chopping it up, man. And so that was, to me, the coolest thing. And I started making the story of that, the Trappin in D.C. and the story of John Moe is all centered around, like, those visuals.
And what was that girl's name again that you're doing that with?
Yes, goes by Just Be Creative.
Okay.
And I'll give you her information as well. But yeah, we're partnered on that Overstand project.
Anything about to come out with that? Any new episodes dropping with that?
Yeah, I got. Okay. Yeah, that's a continuation. So I have a couple things, you know, that are at 80% to continue to tell that story of John Moe and the kid is born. And all these things.
Be crazy if that guy if he like finds you.
That's the
if
goal.
If he sees that, yeah.
I've
Your channel might be. It's probably big enough for him to just might get suggested to him.
It's if a friend of a friend of a friend has seen it, you know, maybe. I'm hoping.
Okay, so really last question I had is I wanted to ask you how you and Full Metal linked up, because that's how I found out about you. He's just dropping his videos on your channel. So how did you guys link? And also is he the only artist that you're dropping just exclusive videos on your channel for? Because I didn't really see. Everything else, it kind of seemed like mixes or like different stuff. It didn't really seem like, maybe I missed it. Is there other artists you're doing that with as well?
Oh yeah, I mean, innumerable at this point.
Okay.
But me and Full Metal, he had a song called Moana that I really fucked with, and it was one of those songs that you hear, and he had a video for it. I think he hit me out the blue. Hey man, love the channel. Mainly post this video, etc. Bless. I watched the video. I was like, I don't know about the song. I listened to it a second time. So, the song is kind of fire. I think it's good. By the fourth time, I was like, damn, this shit is genius. This is incredible. And the video was a whole aesthetic. It was a whole wave. And I hadn't heard anything really like it. So off the strength of that, you know, I started telling him, hey, man, I'll post whatever you want, man. Just come to me. Because I think he was posting on, like, Elevator. And he was real hip on the promotion early on. He knew how to make moves with that, you know, like he was trying to he got maybe on World Star and Elevator and those big platforms. And I was like, okay. And so I was in a hurry to really promote his visual aesthetic and his sound at the time. And obviously still now, but we clicked up on that. And then eventually, you know, we met up in person and played a lot of VR games.
You came to VA or? You came out here.
What was first? I think.
So you been in VA though?
Yeah, I've been down to Richmond and kicked it with him and his boys, and his brothers and everything. And we're all gamers. We're all OG gamers. So a lot of them like are really serious gamers. So we instantly connected, and it was off to the races after that, man. So yeah, we've been clicked up since then. So I mean, he came up obviously I think recently for the podcast, and
we had a fire episode I think.
And On the Radar, he did that, I think.
Yeah. How was that? That hasn't dropped yet.
It hasn't dropped yet.
I seen he posted a picture. He's kind of low key with it. He posted it. Are we good? Does he need something?
He was saying, we can do like another 30 minutes.
We got before that. We about to wrap it up soon. Appreciate you, bro. But yeah, if you guys are watching, we're in DC right now. We run in the studio. You might notice we're not in a regular studio. Yeah, how was the On the Radar thing? He was kind of low key about it. I seen he put it on his Twitter, the image of it, but like on none of his other platforms.
Yeah, I just wanted to put the low key thing out before, you know, they didn't give us the word not to do it or anything like that, but they're going through Detroit right now is what they're running on their main site. You know, on all their
Detroit artists
and stuff. Yeah,
I seen it. Yeah.
So I think they're wrapping it up on the Detroit artists, and I think the DMV one is next. So
they got Hemward up there. They got Full Metal better be up there. Al Doms just went up there. He's from our area in Virginia. He's from Norfolk, I think. Hell yeah.
Yeah, Southern Virginia coming up. So that's good.
That's gonna be hard. Looking forward to that. On the Radar. You want to tell us what song he did? Did he do SCal Money?
I'm not. I don't want to.
Don't even do it.
I don't want to
do
reveal
it
beforehand.
It's funny because on that hook, it sounds like he's saying "let's count money." I don't know if he meant to do it like that because I don't even know what that SCal word means. I'm not really hip like that. But to me, it sounds like he's saying "let's count money." So I'm like, okay, for the layman person who's not into it, like that's what they,
They still got some connective tissue.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hell yeah! Look, I appreciate you, man. Is there anything else you want to say? Lead the people with anything?
Not really, man.
I know.
Just check out the channel. We're doing a tour. We did it last year, the end of Underground. We're bringing on underground producers. We're doing live sets. And we want to continue that wave of encouraging producers to get out there more, do stuff that's performative in a live space, click up, and all of that. So that's something I guess we didn't really hit on, but I think is important. So that's another big focus of mine. So.
Hell yeah. There's a lot of stuff we didn't touch on, so definitely check out bro's channel. We'll put that in the description. I appreciate you, bro. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. Shout out to this place for letting us run the studio out. It's really cool if you guys are in the area. Check them out. Yeah. We'll see you guys soon. Peace.